All right, good evening. It is like past 5:30, and over the past 10 minutes around, she has been here in communication with me on level 2. Thank you. And Mr. Ando, thank you. Because of course they both conduct board activities and communicate for operations for their own respected companies. What I'm seeing is just like me. The efforts to acquire the activities entailed in what you consider normal life, you are conducting just as I am, and the follow the leader concept in terms of my own desires are by necessity and follow the same order of necessity when it comes to anyone. So if you feel, watching these videos and then the timing of my own necessities, and then you look at your own situations and what you require right now, it's the same things, but where are you at versus me, right? We have to be kind of in range of each other when you consider that, I get on uh, camera and people start to, hire personnel, and then things get moving in terms of like their strategies for marketing, and then you ultimately end up with marketing and no sales is how it's been for the past year in terms of monitoring as far as I can see, except for which industries are actually conducting the sales. You would have to be thinking food and consumables, and the fact that there is a moving, purchasing and consuming when it comes to consumables, increase, right? You got more people doing their $40 to $80 digs, going to convenience stores, buying breakfast somewhere. Restaurants are now starting to come into the picture because you're going to start requiring, I want to go out and have a lunch somewhere I haven't been in a while or I haven't tried yet, right? And then it's your work colleagues, and then like it leads on to weekends, and there being bars and clubs. Then these come back, and then your music industry stays the same. It's your music venues and the purchasing that goes on at night, and then you're also on your phone while in line or not having anything to do out there, uh, continuing purchases and communications, right? You've got your work angles like covered no matter where you are, home, work, your mobile devices, and then everything you do on them, uh, increasing activity in terms of you using credit card companies' cards, whether debit or credit, and then pulling loans, uh, working on your FICO, and then you acquiring what? I don't see the activities for maintaining long term, and your purchases are what come next in terms of you getting down to when you have the time, looking at your shopping list, creating one even, and acquiring the things that you want when the desire or the ideas come. Uh, because it's right now September, and you're going to be looking at quarter 4, and then thinking for beginning of year next year. You expect these corporations with their contingency plans and no objectives for actual sales. It's all this still the same like tabloiding me and storytelling information about me in commercials, and then the ones who are making the money are the ones that are actually the purchases that are required by residents who work. Right, you're starting to see like Red Lobster and like Olive Garden. I'm seeing it because I'm watching more TV now. Did you get back into the dig of like watching prime time recently versus like being on the street at night? I did. You know, we turned more into our home digs versus like because you come home from work now. You're not out there with a variable schedule. You've got a 9 to 5, and it establishing purchases like from when you wake up and your activities involving companies' movements up until lunch, then the weekends and nights. Now all this movement, right? Uh, People who are new hires have been working for 2 weeks now. Your purchasing comes back in terms of different industries as mine because I am also on $40 to $80 a day, right? Regardless if I go to the administration office or not. True, thank you. There's always the option to call mom and be like, "Can I have my money for tomorrow?" And I'm always pushing on the fact that I'm like holding tight on my going there actually and like reporting her and changing it over. Why? Because I'm in the same range, right? It's this dig actually that I hold tight on in order to, maintain her antagonism. Because if I don't have it at all, her non-existence does what? Me losing the interaction actually is the objective in order to not have her antagonism, but her own participation is lessening because of the desire to use her by conceptually those on top of her as MLs on me. They don't, right? Less of her already looks like more so non-existence vis-a-vis death, but you don't want that. And then you think of the planning of my purchasing from the standpoint of corporations who want to conduct what? Your sales objectives, actually. If it goes follow the leader, you're not going to get the true desire for sales unless I buy something. And whether or not that corporation, you go to the level of the car market at 60 grand. I'm looking at, MSRP of over 100,000. You do this. I do this. The only person you're thinking right now with intrinsic holding value in my mind for their own new vehicle, I am, aren't I? Are you still out there like going into cars you don't know and like however you get to work is like a variable? You don't change that routine into like having the earnest desire for your own maintained registered at the DMV vehicle. You don't do this. The car market doesn't come back in full. Because across these industries, nobody is focused on sales. Your corporate objectives to continue on to your contingency plans and continue on these weird commercials with no sales and no B2B deliveries in real time to retailers. You keep that up. These facets don't come back until uh, okay, if we go to this idea, my own purchasing, eventually, my innate desire and having the concepts and, my personality and my activities involving companies' products, services, and me keeping those up in the normal fashion in addition to acquiring an office and working until I do something. If you call it follow the leader and you want to be thinking in the trajectory of a emerging bull market anywhere, it involves my activities bringing you into watching me do it and then you wanting to do it for yourself is the pattern. If I don't do these things, and then your scheduling per your like backside negative profit making on me continues on into your contingency plan of chairing your company and selling off the plot there. By year one, you would expect those building up themselves the earnest desire for bringing back operations. We'll see companies spill forward to them while they continue on to their contingency plans, and then gradually into year one, you have new companies emerging with commercials, and hopefully by then conducting actual sales. Because if the sales don't come back for any industry not already doing it, right? Food and drink have it all locked down. They just monitor in real time and their projections for like seasonal and whatnot. Everything else, your own desires for your assets in your living situations as you work. You're going to want that car eventually. You're going to want a new DVD player. You're going to want a new TV. You're going to want these things, and then you got credit, right? It all gets taken care of with monthly payments and leeway. You could do it comfortably, and then it's actually, versus gambling and like jerking off and being thin and sore all the time. It's getting back into normal digs, which you used to find satisfying because you don't have the ideas coming to you because you're busy with your yachting. Once you get off of those and you're like more on the serious dig, it goes along with your 9 to 5. You come home, what do you want? You're not gonna want to go straight to bed and jerk off. You're gonna want to eat. You're gonna want to watch TV, and then what you see on TV and on your phone, you're gonna want to check out and buy and listen to music. You're gonna get back into all these activities, and it takes time in order to, right, get into the normal dig because you're working. It's been 2 weeks. You hit a month. You hit a monthly paycheck, or you hit like the desire for a short vacation. What are you gonna do? You're gonna hit the casino, and then along the way, you're gonna think outlets. Shit like this comes back, right? Even in my own mind, and as I speak right now, you give it until Christmas. Thank you. You're going to have your shopping objectives for Christmas. This is something with me and the FPs and how we geared towards evening in China, in Beijing, and doing our shopping at the same time. They have their projections for Christmas sales, and those will come because you have your family obligations, right? And then year one, uh, you get into Christmas purchasing along with your ability to purchase now with establishing credit for yourselves, and you've got transportation and traversing commercial areas, and then all these like establishments come back with their brick and mortar operations. Your sales come back because of you yourselves working in all these different areas, and I am in the same boat, right? So we got until Christmas. Uh, when do you think, like, in terms of me getting that first vehicle for work? They're already waiting for me, and what am I trying to do? I'm trying to slow down. Do they want that? No. Their eagerness for sales tells me that the car market is actually earnest about conducting sales, for my situation at least. You walk into a dealership with an earnest desire for a car. Just the same, they in turn will give you service, and you're going to contribute to sales of the car market. And then going back into registering your car, paying for insurance, and then taxes, and what else? How you claim it on your like taxes, your like work costs, like discounts and whatnot for your bracket, and then more people actually, because you're working again, you're actually interacting with the government and reporting uh, taxes and doing all this EBT, right? And then these facets of the government, with the services that are currently still in existence, uh, they're going to have to actually have the personnel for monitoring when it comes to the IRS. You've got until April, but uh, what are we saying here? We're saying by year one, companies tank on like being antagonistic towards me still because you got your yachters who are hardcore and already have contingency plans. We all work and play and make purchases, and then your own career objectives come into play probably like right now. Because if you're already getting like the feel for your workplace environment, and culturally with your company, you're thinking, I could stand being here for this long. Your vernacular is more like, I want to go up to board, and I like this company's dig, or I need to move on in terms of career objective or a field sector. You want to change. Ultimately, you're coming to truths about your situation that you actually don't like this type of work, and they can see it. HR. But your finance sector and its apps currently advertising finance and investing from the standpoint of what? Like corporations actually with objectives for their long term of their own employees and their own stock have to be in line with long term. Finance sector, brokers uh, that put together portfolios and help you cash out your stocks. These people don't come back with earnest employees and not having to uh, go through like bullshitting everyone and us like listening and talking through you. Uh, your finance sector movement in terms of it displaying long-term acquiring activities, you will not see stocks and the investment industry come back because nobody's doing it. You hold on to your car, and then eventually your savings you're working on with online banking or acquiring through traditional banks, uh, leaning more towards, yeah, the market of those companies actually selling stock. You would expect them to, just the same as any other industry, need a cleaning house. And we have to see new companies emerge that, uh, in place of what exists out there for online stock trading and calling Wall Street. Because you can't expect, like, formalization activities. That's the thing. You get into that dig in terms of like your resident local living situation with your government. Do you need to move or do you want to conduct reformalization or formalization? You get back to that and realizing that you have to do both. Positivity and vitality come to you, and you're leaning towards more concepts that entail normal life because you start wanting it all back. You do actually, and it's less of this, uh, you know, like just going around with your vices and sexual addiction, and then like drinking and whatnot, and it's more of the straight and narrow actually. But what are you doing? You're doing more things with all this purchase, like, things that you're enjoying, and like you have a social life again along with a work social life. Uh, you get back more into like being extrovert and less of your hang-ups. It all starts to happen like that when you're putting it together. You're actually, it's giving it until the end of the year. You got the Christmas dig. We monitor all these industries and whether or not there's going to be change in the finance sector. Their companies have to, you know, get back to their platforms in terms of their normal digs, and whether or not they require consulting and like flipping their brand identity and bringing back, advertising or movement that increases stock sales and looking at financial information. The finance sector is not acquiring sales of stocks in direct relation to the fact that there's no stock information out there by media outlets. Those would be an indicator that sales of stocks came back, in including long-term movement. Again, why is it necessary to pursue your CLA? And because what are you doing actually? You're only just protecting your keep. That's all I'm doing. Look, it's like your life, right? You get back on track with your life as a musician, like DJ Psychic, for example. You're gonna be fighting all these motherfuckers trying to take your cake. That's all it is. You know? They're gonna start coming at you when they see you got the ends and you got like music going on and like you got people talking to you and shit. Like you're moving out there and shaking. You end up enforcing on these like fools that are fronting on you and all that. Looking at your shit like what you got and all that. That's what it is. That's all it is. You start protecting your keep, you start earning your keep, and like, well, it's firstly, and then you start thinking about your savings. Your future planning involves needing finances for the future, and that includes investment planning. You start getting back into more of your concerns for your future. such as I want this car at this time, I can make it then, the down, and then like you're thinking, I want to move into a bigger pad, I want to do this, I want to do that. All these facets of society come back, including their sales. So looking at year one, I mean, what do you expect to be produced by then? If these companies start to come back on these concepts and don't expect to go on to their like contingency plans and dissolve, their markets will comprise of, and we will be able to three which companies are moving seriously with sales and holding on to long-term objectives for their company's stock and their employees. You see that come back. You see the finance sector come back. You see new companies emerge. Yachters tank. It's leaning towards a normal market. Then next you could start thinking bull market. That's when everybody's minds are more competitive against their other competitors in their market. We're seeing that already when it comes to commercials kind of going over each other's heads in their commercials, right? That's healthy. That's healthy competition. You're bringing competition back with that. We need to see more of that. That's what a bull market does. You have all these companies trying to rock all their angles while maintaining their sales and front side and long term, and then more. You have a flourishing of like, yeah, new products and like people talking here and there about companies, and then like more advertising and people doing more purchasing, and then like people's salaries going up, people spending more. That's a bull market. Leaning towards Christmas, what are we going to see? Because it's September, October, November, December. We got 3 months actually. You spend 3 months working, building up your credit, uh, adding to your shopping list and your to do list. What are we going to see in the next couple of months? Activity in a situation which is already highly active. You know, take a step back and look at your trajectory here in terms of what you're accomplishing. There's a track for it. If you start doing scheduling now, you buy a planner and like you schedule out your purchases and when to make payments, your calculations, and make sure that you're comfortable with all of it with leeway and making sure you can eat and drink all day. You got it made. How's life these days? Isn't it way better than it used to be? It is for me. We're all doing the same thing. We're doing it. Let's just keep going. Good evening.